Hey friends, my name is Joey and welcome back to my channel, Gender Not Found. It's like almost 7 o'clock and my mom's still in home eating, so I'm gonna start trying to read a couple more chapters of this. Hopefully we can get through at least 2 chapters. I really want to read more of this, so...
Bruh.
Chap... Wait, what chapter are we on? Hang on. I gotta make sure I know what chapter we're on.
Bruh.
Sorry, excuse me. Chapter 11. Matt, Joe, and I were seated in the lounge room, watching a scary movie in complete and utter silence. Joe was lying down on the couch with both of his hands behind his head. Matt and I were seated on the adjacent couch opposite the TV, but seated on either end, creating a rather large distance between us. I didn't like that I couldn't feel his body against mine, but what could I do? Suddenly the doorbell rang, causing all of us to look away from the TV and into the direction of the front door. We then looked at each other with a grimace on our faces. Neither one of us could be bothered to get up to open the door. Wayne, get your ass up from the couch and answer the door, Joe said from his position on the couch. He looked at me quickly and then at Matt until he finally returned his glance to the TV. Matt, could you please answer the door? I asked innocently as I pouted my lower lip, willing my eyes to well up, which would hopefully create a puppy dog expression. He looked away from me, but I noticed his lips tug upwards, causing my stupid heart to race non-stop. It's not my house, Wayne. It would be totally rude if I was to answer the door. I glared at him playfully and stuck out my tongue, which caused him to chuckle slightly. Fine, I'll get the door. You two are annoying me, Joe groaned as he shook his head and got up from the couch, walking towards the front door. I'm not annoying, I stated, and then I frowned when Matt gave me your joking look. I'm not. Honestly, Matt, am I annoying? I asked, turning my body slightly towards his, but not moving in a way so I was closer to him. No, he would have to come closer first. He looked like he looked like he was thinking about my question, which made my face turn red from embarrassment. He better not think that I am annoying. Finally, he turned his whole body towards mine, tucking his legs under his body on the couch, and smirked his signature smirk to me. Put it this way, I'd rather be stuck in a room full of Twilight fans than be stuck in a room. Do not even finish that sentence, Mr. Evans, I yelled as I took the pillow that was behind me and hit his body with it. Hey, that's not fair. You ask me a question and then you don't let me finish answering it. Matt joked as he took a pillow from the floor and hit me lightly with it. You're a girl basher, I teased. Joe, get your ass in the lounge room. Matt's hitting me, I shouted as I got off the couch and looked for another weapon I could use because a pillow is not going to suffice. I saw the TV remote on the table and quickly made a grab for it. When I looked up at Matt, his eyes were twinkling with mischief, causing my hold on the remote to falter. Put down the remote, Wayne. Your plan isn't going to work. I held my head up, pretending to look like I didn't hear him as I took a step back. I saw him chuckle as I attempted to glare at him, holding the remote in his direction. If you keep laughing at me, I won't be afraid to hit you with the remote. I held eye contact with him, but then he shook his head while laughing his head off. What's the matter with you? I could seriously hurt you with this. Okay, that was a big lie, but I needed to say something because I didn't want Matt to suddenly hear my stammering heart. Now that would be embarrassing. Wayne, you can't even hurt a fly, Matt managed to say in between fits of laughter. What about that time I beat up Linda Stevens for calling you and Joe gay? I asked seriously, but then I cracked up laughing when Matt shivered from disgust. Haha, you and Joe are gay, I joked, but then I stopped when I saw Matt get up from the couch and tackle me to the floor. Ouch! I yelled when I landed on the floor with Matt's entire weight on my whole body. He slightly leaned up, allowing the top half of me to breathe slightly, but he still had a hold of my lower body. Abruptly, Joe walked in the room and started yelling at Matt to get off of me. Instead, Matt shook his head and fake glared at me. Your sister called us gay, so now she's going to get taught a very valuable lesson. Wayne, what the hell? Joe yelled, but I smirked slightly. I didn't call you two gay. I merely reminded Matt of the time that Linda called you two gay and then Wayne beat her up. Leah interrupted me and then winked when she saw that Matt was still on top of me. I blushed slightly, but then I looked away and laughed away with Leah. I noticed Matt was smiling mischievously, and my heart began mischievously at me, and my heart began to race rapidly. I looked at Leah, but she was hitting Joe on the head, causing Joe to yell at her. Matt noticed where the direction of my eyes were and chuckled loudly. "They sound like an old married couple," he mentioned after a while. Matt turned his face towards mine. I agreed as I smirked slightly. Matt turned his face towards mine and looked at me in confusion. "Want to help me get them together?" I questioned Matt, who suddenly looked very happy. "How?" he asked, moving his lower part of his body onto mine. I let out a quick moan, but then turned it into a coughing fit. Matt's eyes lit up as he smirked and pressed his body harder onto mine. I blushed at the direct contact and looked towards Leah and Joe. They were still arguing about God knows what, while leaning their bodies closer to each other. God, it was so obvious that they both have a thing for each other. "Rain, how are we going to get them together?" Matt asked me again as he took my hand and softly ran his finger through mine. That simple hand contact caused my heart to race, and I looked up at him to find that he was looking at Joe and Leah. Did he not realize that his hands were playing with mine? I think we should lure them in a room together, lock the door from the outside, and threaten that it'll stay that way unless they kiss and make up, I suggested, turning bright scarlet under Matt's intense but playful gaze. "I agree. Let's hurry this process up." So, after 20 minutes of pretending that my coughing fit was real, both Matt and I were able to lure Joe and Leah into the kitchen to find me some cough medicine. As soon as they walked in, Matt closed the door as I stuck a chair under the doorknob. "What the hell? Open up the goddamn door!" Leah yelled out first, attempting to unlock the door but wasn't successful. Both Matt and I snickered while high-fiving each other. "What are you talking about?" Joe stopped speaking when he realized that the door was in fact locked. "What the fuck? Open the door or else I'm breaking it," Joe threatened. I widened my eyes in shock and looked at Matt for help. He smirked at me and told me to wait a second. "We can't let you out unless you two make up. A video will be required for evidence, so please send the footage to either myself or Miss Rain Holden via multimedia. Thank you." Matt sounded really sexy as he pretended to sound professional. "What the hell? Get us out!" Leah started to knock on the door, and for a second I got scared until Matt put his hand on my shoulder and told me to relax. "I got this," he whispered to me and then looked towards the door. If either of you break the door down, Rain will call Mr. Mason, who will be in a slightly pissed off mood, and I'm positive he won't take this too lightly." I chuckled slightly, but it increased when Matt began to chuckle alongside me. "I don't care, we're breaking it down," Joe yelled, but Leah stopped him. I heard her say something, but I couldn't make out what she was saying. "I can't tell what she's saying, can you?" I asked Matt, who put his ear to the door. I put mine against it as well, trying to listen to Leah and Joe, but all I could think about was how close Matt's mouth was to mine. He opened his mouth slightly to speak, but then closed it when he realized how close we were. I saw his eyes travel I saw his eyes travel over my face a few times before he blinked and leaned away from the door. I think they're planning something. Probably some sort of twisted revenge, too." I wasn't even listening to him anymore. I just couldn't get the image of how our lips were so close. I could almost feel his hot breath on mine, and I wanted more. Slowly, I moved my body towards his and watched as he looked at me from head to toe. Involuntarily, I shivered from the intensity of his gaze, but it also made me feel more confident in what I was about to do. Rain, what are you doing?" Matt asked, looking panicky and frightened as he looked behind me towards the kitchen door. "I'm not doing anything." I feigned ignorance while twirling my hair and biting my lip. I looked up at Matt, taking a step closer, and smiled when he didn't attempt to take a step back. We were now taking each other's personal space, and I loved it. I mean, his bigger framed body was producing so much heat that I don't think I'd ever need a heater in winter. Suddenly, and without any warning, Matt grabbed my waist and pulled me behind him. I was shocked and a little bit angry, but he told me to be quiet. I did as I was told, poking my head out from behind his back, and bit back a chuckle when I saw the lock on the doorknob turning slightly. What do you think they will realize that When do you think they will realize that the chair is the thing blocking the door and not the actual doorknob itself? I asked Matt in his ear. He jumped, obviously startled at the close proximity of our faces, and blushed slightly. "Sorry about that. Yeah." He looked away from my face, most likely from embarrassment, but I smiled and shook my head. "It's okay, Matt. I'm not going to tell anyone that you get scared by girls," I teased, knowing it would change his mood. "What? That's just crazy. I don't get scared by girls," he retaliated. "Prove it then," I challenged, watching as he turned his face towards mine with a curiosity expression on his face. How am I going to prove it? He asked as he leaned against the wall, folding his arms across his chest, making him look so damn sexy. I pretended to think about it, watching as his face grew from amusement to skeptical and eventually to boredom. How about you close your eyes for about a minute, and if I see you flinch, shiver, or tremble at absolutely anything, then I know you're afraid of girls, I taunted with a smug look on my face. I saw his signature smirk make its way to his beautiful face, and I knew that I had him in a competitive state. Fine, but you only have a minute to make me afraid. I smiled widely at him and then I smirked, hyping myself up to begin. Close your eyes, big boy. Let's see how long it takes until I make you flinch, shiver, or tremble. This is going to be fun. I think I might just leave it there for now. I feel like 4 chapters is enough for today, and I'm getting kind of tired, so I think I'm just gonna skip this out and then stop recording. I think I'm good. Alright, so I love each and every one of you guys. Please don't forget to always be yourself. You're valid, and I will see you all guys in the next video. Bye!